Today I want to talk about God's provision. And Kelly and I are here, and really, we're not going to go into a lot of teaching. It's just a time of giving thanks to God for always knowing not just our needs, but even just the smallest desires of our hearts. And He's always been faithful. You know, this is a time where a lot of people are concerned about their finances. As I've mentioned before, you know, believers across the board are reacting during a time like this differently, just based on what they know of the Lord and what they've experienced. And we want to share some of our experience with you and just testify to the goodness of God, that He is faithful to be your provider during this time. So in the Old Testament, God said that He's your provider, and in the New Testament, in our new covenant, Jesus confirms that. And if you look at Matthew 6, he talks about not worrying about anything. And he just talks about how, you know, God will supply your needs. And if I can read just a little bit, Matthew 6:25, it says, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more important than food, and the body more important than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. And are you not much more valuable than they?" So today, like I said, we're not going to go into much teaching, but we're just going to share some testimonies with you. And when I look at our testimonies we're going to share, it's significant to me that these are like the smallest details, where you think, oh, God doesn't even pay attention to that little thing. He doesn't care about that kind of small detail, but the truth is He does. And these are just some examples of it. So Kelly, do you want to share the first testimony?
Sure. First testimony I have to share was when I was in the county jail. I had, I think I shared on a different video about dangerous prayers, that I had prayed and asked God. I said, "Father, do whatever it takes to help me make you my number one." So once I prayed that prayer, all of a sudden it was like somebody flipped a light switch, and I stopped getting money, I stopped getting visits, I stopped getting letters pretty much. Just about everybody stopped all contact with me. So I was left without any money on my commissary account, and I know now that God was teaching me to be able to depend upon Him, because if I had money, then I'm in control of my finances and the things that I want, things that I need. So I had run out of paper one time, and I was sitting down in the day room, and I was leaning back on my chair, and I was getting fussy with the Lord, and I said, I said, "Man, God, you say you're going to provide, like, it's a promise in your word that you're going to provide for me. You're going to take care of me. You're going to give me the things that I need, and I said, here, I'm out of paper. I said, I ain't got no paper, and I'm using it to write people to tell them about you. I said, so what's going on, Lord?" And I said, "So yeah, I'm out of paper." I said, "What you gonna do about that?" And all of a sudden, right when I said that, somebody walked by and laid a whole brand new thing of notebook paper on my chest and just kept on walking. Didn't say a word to me, just slapped it right on my chest and kept on walking. I almost fell over, man. I couldn't believe it. I said, "What the heck?" I quick get up, I run after him because I didn't even know the guy. And I said, "Man, why'd you do that?" He's like, "I don't know, something just told me you needed it," but it was the second after I said, "What you gonna do about that, Lord?" All of a sudden, bam, a notebook paper, somebody threw it on my chest, just kept on walking. So I was like, oh man, I better watch out, the Lord's gonna take care of me. So that was a pretty big moment as far as God's provision, and there's lots more, when I was in that position, in that state too. So
Yeah, one of my favorite testimonies, because it was so specific, is one time I was preparing for a banquet and pretty much had everything set, but then towards the last minute realized I don't have any vases. Now, vases weren't necessary, but they were something I wanted, and I needed 7 of them. And I kind of thought preferably I would want 6 that are smaller, and then the seventh, the last one, I'd like a bit bigger for the head table there. So I'm kind of looking at funds and thinking, well, I can maybe do without, but man, just kind of like kicking yourself, wishing that I had thought of this. Well, at the time, I frankly, I don't even remember if I prayed about it. I was pretty new Christian, and didn't even really consider thinking of God as providing for something like that at the time. So I can't remember, but I don't think I even prayed about it. But I lived in an apartment, and there in that apartment building was a great big laundry room that many people shared. And there is a big table that sometimes people would put things for free there. So the next morning, I went into that laundry room and I couldn't believe it. But there were 7 vases. 6 of them were smaller and all identical, and the 7th one was the same style, but it was slightly larger. And there was a sign there on that table in the laundry room saying free.
Powering off.
What was that? Powering off. Sorry, we had a little Bluetooth speaker talking at us there.
It's confirming the word.
Yes. Either way, that was just, kind of like a knock my socks off kind of, what just, did this really just happen here? Like, that was so specific. And God knew my desire. It wasn't really a necessity, but he knew my desire, and literally I got that.
That's good. Another one that I have to share was when I got into prison. So I was in prison for, I think, less than a year at this time. And so I'd been locked up for, let me see, a couple years at this point. Yeah, when it happened, it was at least 2 years, maybe more, maybe 2.5 or something like that. And yeah, it was more than that. It was about 2.5, 3 years actually. So I had done.
To tell people, he was in prison for a long time.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
2.5, 3 years.
So I had.
In case there's any new listeners.
Yeah. So I had. I was doing my first 3-day no food, no water fast, and right when I started it, we got locked down. Which kind of makes it harder because you're just stuck in the cell 24 hours a day. So we're stuck in the cell for the whole time. They're delivering food during the meals and stuff like that, but I made it through. My cellie helped me towards the end, But right when they were going to pop the doors, we were going to be able to go over and eat. And that was when I was done, so that was going to be the mark of the end of the 3 days. So I like ranch dressing, and they don't have ranch dressing in prison. At least they didn't where I was at all. So it'd been how many years now since I had ranch dressing. And I said to the Lord when I was, about right before they were going to pop the doors, I said, man, Father, that would be so awesome if you could just give me some ranch dressing over there. I said, that would be great. I was just talking, I wouldn't even say that was like a prayer. I was just being like, man, that'd be awesome if they had ranch dressing over there. And so they let us out. We go over there, and they had ranch dressing. They actually had it was lamb, I think, like strips of lamb inside of a
gyro?
Yeah, whatever. So they had that with ranch. The first time they ever had that. So they had that with ranch dressing, and it's just for that one day. I think it was. I don't know if they had it anymore ever since, but I did get it that one day, and that was a miracle. That was huge. I couldn't believe it. It was great. So that was a big answer to prayer for me. It was something that was pretty special. I actually heard one of the coronavirus testimonies. The guy had the same type of testimony. He was stuck in the hospital bed, and the cleaner had prayed for him, and then he actually asked God if he could have a pop and chips, a specific kind, and the cleaner brought him that exact thing that he asked for, the pop and the chips, the very next day. So same thing that happened to me with the ranch dress, and that was something that was very special, special to me. So
the next testimony I want to share was during a time of felt need. And it was when I was pregnant with my daughter, Christina. And, as far as finances went, we were like, I'd say around the poverty level. And lots of school loans, many thousands upon thousands of school loans. And with a new baby in the mix, I had some real concerns about just the costs of being able to provide, and just all the different baby clothes and how fast they grow out of them. So it was an actual need, an actual concern that I had. And I do remember praying, Lord, I'm gonna need you to help me and provide for me during this time. And so I didn't really have a baby shower, so it wasn't that wasn't much of an avenue for this provision to come in, and I just had to lay it before the Lord. Well, one day I went to a grocery store, and at this point I was probably like 6 months pregnant or something, visibly pregnant, and I was waiting in line for checkout, and this lady kept looking at me, and to the point to, like, she's eyeing me up and down, and I'm kind of getting paranoid, like, am I doing something wrong, or does she not like me, or like, it was just kind of strange. Why is this woman continually looking over at me? And just so either way, so she checked out in front of me and she went out in the parking lot. And then I checked out and I left. And this woman's waiting for me, it seems, in the parking lot. And so I'm like, what's going on with this woman? And I'm just going to try to ignore and walk past her. Well, she approaches me and asks, when are you due? And do you know if you have a baby boy or a girl? And she's really friendly, so I share with her, I'm going to have a girl. And she says, well, I was actually on my way to give a bunch of baby girl clothes to a secondhand store, actually. And I'm wondering if you would like them. And so I was like, well, yeah, I'd love that, thanks. She's like, yeah, I was on my way and they're in my car. So she goes to the back of her car and digs out like two enormous, like the black garbage bag, big bag kind of thing. So just filled with baby blankets, baby clothes, and two of them. So I'm already like, oh, wow, this is so amazing. She's like, I actually have more. So if you want them, I can bring them over to you. And so I'm thinking, really? And so I give her my address, and then several days later she shows up with like garbage bags, bit more of like different sizes, all throughout the whole first year of baby girl clothes. So it was just like, it was such a relief, I mean, I don't know how much that would have been worth had I had to buy all those, but the Lord definitely came through and provided for me.
Mm. Another testimony I have is I had a cellmate, and I would be talking to him about Jesus, and he knew the Lord, but kind of fell away, and I'd be encouraging him about stuff, talking to him about it, and one time he says, man, if you get me a red King James Bible or New King James Bible, then I'll read the Bible. Something like that. It's said specifically, the color and the kind that he wanted. And I'm like, all right, and I'm thinking like, dang, I don't have one like that now.
And why did it have to be?
Yeah, why'd it have to be red,
just
and
daring
yeah,
God or something.
he just said, man, if you get me that, then I'll read the Bible. And the Seventh-day Adventists, I would go over to their service. When I was in prison there, they would hold service, and I'd go over there, and they would send us in Bibles, certain ones of us, and it'd been maybe 7-8 months since I'd gotten a Bible from them, and then the Bibles that they sent were usually yellow and blue. So I hadn't gotten a Bible. I didn't have one. I think I might have had one, but it was a different color, so I didn't have the one that he specifically asked for. So I was like, man, I said, well, I don't know, I was like, man. So he says this, and we go out to mail call, and everybody, the CO gets out and calls everybody's name, goes through the mail and calls people's name, and everybody stands around and then gets their mail. So I'm standing here with my cellie, and all of a sudden he's like, Rieland. So I went up there, and I get what he has, and he has a red New King James Bible that came from the Seventh-day Adventists, so it's the first time they ever sent me a red Bible, and it'd been like 8 or 9 months since it'd been a long time since I'd gotten a Bible from them to hand out, and here it was the exact thing that he said, and I was like, and he was right next to me, he's like, dang, I gotta read it, so he grabbed it and he did. He started reading it after that, man, all the time.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. I think we told some other people were standing around too, so they were standing there too. Everybody was like, oh, because I couldn't have planned it. It was that day, not more than just a few hours away that he said that, and then all of a sudden, bam, that thing was there on mail call. So that was neat.
Kind of like the ranch dressing. It's like the Lord knows your desires even before you know them yourself. And He can prepare it in advance. This next testimony, some might call it just coincidence, or but I think part of having a thankful heart and having faith and not getting into worry is to see that God is in the small details, and if you attribute thanks to Him, then you can foster that kind of attitude within yourself. So the next one I'm going to share was just, I had a craving one day, and I really wanted some black raspberry. It's called an ice drink, so it's like carbonated flavored water. So really wanted that, and like nothing else. I just didn't want. I don't like pop, really. Don't like Gatorade. Don't like juice. So really thirsty for this, and we go to the gas station, and they typically always have it. So I'm searching back there, and I don't see any ice drink, much less black raspberry ice drink. So I'm just feeling like, man, what happened? They must have run out, and they're just not getting it again, or discontinued it. And typically I'm not going to go and search them out, because I didn't even see a spot for it anymore. It's not like, it's just empty. But something in me said, just ask. And I was like, I don't think I want to bother the lady, and just ask. So when I went up to the counter, I asked the lady, "Do you happen to have any of your ice drinks anymore?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, we're discontinuing that here, but," she's like, "You know what? I think we got some in the back still, and I'll go check." So I was like, "Well, that would be great." So she goes in the back and comes out with 6, not just any flavors, but black raspberry ice drink. Now they have a bunch of different flavors, but they were all black raspberry ice drink. And so I'm like, great, And I just came to buy one, but she puts them all in a bag for me, and then charges me for just one. I said, "You're not gonna, I'll take them all. It's fine." She's like, "We're just gonna get rid of them. I'm gonna give them to you." So I got 6 for the price of one. And then I go out to the car, and we're about to take off, and I see this cashier literally running across the parking lot, waving at me, and I think, okay, what's going on? Well, she had found another black raspberry ice drink somehow in the time that I left. And so I ended up getting 7 black raspberry ice drinks for the price of one. And it was simply, I went there and felt the nudge, like, just ask. And then I laughed because I said, it literally, blessings are just chasing me down today. So
Right.
we tend to have food testimonies.
Yeah,
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
what that says about us.
All right, the next one I have to share is again, when I was in prison, there was a guy, and he showed me in there, like, for a long time, for years, you could only buy stuff off of the commissary, whatever they had, and it's not like you could choose from all different kind of stuffs. Now, earlier you could buy different things, and so you get different kind of stuff. So if you had any of that stuff, it was worth a lot because it was different. Nobody else, had like these different kind of shoes or glasses or boots or whatever it was. So this one guy I know liked sunglasses, and he came and showed me he had this pair of rose-colored sunglasses, and he I don't know, loved sunglasses and just knew all about what was on the compound, everything, and so I tried them on, and they were good. They were nice. I liked them. They had like a clear, I don't know, made everything clear to color and everything like that, and it was like an impossibility. They had that one pair. There was no other pair. He didn't know of any other pair, and I was like, man, these are nice, and he just bought them and used it. They're super expensive too, so he paid a good price for it. And I said, I was like, man, so I seeing those, I said, man, I really like this kind. And I said, man, Lord, man, if you could get me, a pair of glasses like that, that would be great, And then I didn't have much money. My mom would send me little how much each month. So I had that designated for all the things, that I already had settled for. So I said, man, if I can get a pair of glasses, if you got a pair for me, then I'd also need extra money on top of that, in order to be able to get them. So that's what I was telling the Lord. Well, all of a sudden, the next day, I see my buddy running like, yeah, and he's like coming across the compound and looking for me, and he's like, dude, he's like, man, somebody came up and they have these rose-colored glasses, just like mine, but they're even better than what he had. I liked them a lot better, and he's like, man, they got them for sale, and I was like, what? Like, it was crazy. First off, that they even had this kind and a pair like that, but even that they were selling them. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was how much were they? I forgot how much they were, but I was like, man, I need extra money, and here I went and checked my books, and my mom just sent me extra money without me even asking her. So here, the Lord gave me the pair, had the pair of glasses, which is a miracle, same same color, and then a pair that I liked even better, along with the extra money to be able to get them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I still have them to this day. I brought them with me. I was like, I'm not letting go of these things. This was a blessing from God. So I still got them in my car today. So.
I think I want to close with it's actually a testimony from a good friend of ours that I thought was really meaningful. And his name's Tim. So, Tim ever watches this, hello. And it's a blessing to share what he shared with us. And that is during this quarantine time, he was sharing how finances were getting really tight, and it was an electric bill, right?
No.
Especially his electric bill was getting behind. He was able to pay some on it, but it was getting behind on it, and he said it's easy to believe for things when you feel like you're being like so faithful and confident in your status with the Lord, or how well you're performing. He said, but it was during a time where I really wasn't feeling like I was that spiritually great. I think we all face those times. And so he's like, Lord, I needed your help, but I'm gonna have to ask you like for a special bucket load of faith or something, because I can hardly even believe for this provision. And so he had applied for this grant to help out with his bill, but everything closed down, and they were saying it was incomplete, so he was going to have to wait. But this was, getting to be a pressing matter. Well, I'm not going to be able to share all the details that he would be able to share if he were here, but it turns out that he ended up despite the shutdown, they, I think, made an exception and gave him a partial grant. And then suddenly he was invited out, I think, to coffee with a minister he had preached alongside for a while. And the person out of nowhere said, you've been a blessing to us, and we want to give you some money. And then suddenly his sister, out of nowhere, wrote him a letter and said, I feel like I want to give you some money. And then his niece, out of nowhere, sent him an envelope with a little note, and just like, oh, I really felt like I wanted to give you some money. And it was just like, it seems like there was something else too. But it covered his electric bill, plus he had wanted to upgrade his AAA because he does a lot of driving and wanted that extra protection. And he's like, I realize that's not, a need. It's, if I want to upgrade, that's a luxury. I realize that. So I don't even know if I can really ask God for that. But the thing is, he had enough with people just deciding to give to him for that upgrade too, and all during a time of this stay-at-home order where people are unfortunately stressing about their personal finances, and God came through for him. And as he put it, at a time where he felt like he probably least deserved it. So I think that right there speaks volumes in and of itself, that God is our provider because he is good, not because we are so good. So do you have anything else to share, or?
I guess one thing that I'm coming to realize is, that, say along those lines, is that I should be able to depend on him for all these things consistently, not just here and there. So I have lots of testimonies, but he even wants to do it even more. He takes care of my needs and my wants. The glasses were a want, and how many things have been wants, different things that weren't necessarily a necessity, but I know in my heart that he's fine with giving me the things that I want too. So I know he's dealing with me and helping me to depend on his goodness and nothing to do with myself or my righteousness or anything like that, because I don't have any apart from him.
Mm-hmm.
So I can depend on him consistently for everything, all my needs and wants in my life. And, he's that good. He's that good, and I can trust him that much. And that's what he's working on me with a lot right now, is being able to trust him more, So...
Can I qualify that just a little bit and say,
Yes.
Yes, some of our testimonies have to do with wants and not even needs, but we will put a balance on there and say that God is looking to mature us, and he's looking for us to be responsible. He's wanting to protect our hearts too. So we're not saying that if you ask for a Ferrari, he's going to just give you a Ferrari. So just going to put that out there.
I'd like a Ferrari, Lord.
Yes.
When I'm ready.
Yeah, when you're ready. Never, Lord. So we just want to, again, just share how God has blessed us and say you can trust him. Don't worry during this time. Don't worry ever. It's a pretty common thread throughout the Bible. God doesn't want you to worry, but to trust in him. So thank you so much for listening. I am eventually going to do a video kind of along these lines of finances, and I'm going to talk about tithing and whether or not it is a requirement for a new covenant believer. So if you're interested, I'm hoping to get that out within the next week. You can just subscribe to our channel or check on us later.
Love you.